All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. It's coming down to the 11th hour and the 59th minute in talks for the NBA's newest television deal, and all signs point to Turner Sports possibly being left on the outside looking in. Now, TNT has covered NBA games since 1989, but they might not be in the NBA's latest deal as ESPN, ABC, and Amazon appear to be in the driver's seat for the league's latest media package. Now, TNT is still trying to be a fourth partner as there's still work that's being done behind the scenes. You think about this thing, ESPN/Disney, when it comes down to it, and when it comes to making bids to televise sports coverage, ESPN's always going to be at the top of the list because they have a boatload of money to broadcast games. Just look at what they've put forth for the college football playoff. Just speaking of, certain things, okay? Now, NBC is desperate to get back onto the basketball scene. They have not had the NBA package since 2002. Amazon is rapidly becoming a growing force in sports due to their streaming packages. You just look at the deal that they have with Thursday Night Football with the National Football League, and that thing continues to grow for them. So one question is going to be, how deep is Turner going willing to dig in their pockets to be a potential fourth partner for the NBA? That's going to be very interesting because clearly the fourth partner wouldn't be, you know, as strong, so to say, as ESPN, Amazon, and NBC. So it might be a cheaper alternative for Turner this time around. We got to wait and see. But nonetheless, you think about it, and the first thing people are going to say when they think about TNT's coverage is the studio show. Inside the NBA with Shaquille O'Neal, Ernie Johnson, Kenny Smith, and Charles Barkley, and that quartet together has become legendary. And honestly, it would not be the same on another network. You got strong color commentators such as Reggie Miller. You think about the play-by-play of Kevin Harlan, just to name a few. And I'm gonna, come back to this and touch on this more in a moment. But for me, ESPN might be the worldwide leader in coverage, okay? But they've sacrificed their quality of content a long time ago, okay? Personally, and this is no disrespect, it's just the real thing. If I watch a sports game on ESPN or one of ESPN's networks now, I generally have the sound muted when I'm watching the games, okay? You just look at what Sports Center has become in comparison to what that show was 25, 30 years ago or so. Not the same. And I think it's a trickle down effect for a lot of ESPN coverages. So you look at this thing, ESPN is clearly cemented there. But then NBC and Amazon, what will they bring to the table? I think, when you think about NBC, you think about quality production and quality coverage. And, I think that they're itching to get back to this. And I was surprised, honestly, that when NBC lost a deal more than 20 years ago. But nonetheless, they are desperate to get back into this thing. And I think Amazon is learning, the avenue revenue wise, what sports coverage can bring in. They've been successful with their NFL coverage, and now they're looking to build off of that. Will TNT still have a voice in NBA coverage? That's going to be very interesting. I mean, Turner has been for a long time a stronghold for sports. You think about it, back in the days, TBS showed a lot of Atlanta Braves games, but even back to its roots, with the NBA coverage in the late '80s, I think TNT has always given the NBA quality coverage of their games, especially in the postseason. They also have their NHL package now, as well as MLB. They've also hitched on to ESPN to televise some first round games of the college football playoff. for the upcoming year, as well as their agreement with CBS for the NCAA tournament. So, nonetheless, I think they definitely still want to be a player in the NBA, and hopefully, for their sake, something can work out. I mean, Adam Silver, at the end of the day, there's no loyalty in business, okay? And Adam Silver's only loyalty is to the 30 team owners. And at the end of the day, his job as a commissioner is to get the best television deal for his product and the best television deal for the people that he works for, which are the team owners. There's no such thing as loyalty. If that was the case, okay, many moons ago, back in the day, the NBA would have still been on ABC, or the NBA would have still been on CBS like it was throughout the 80s or throughout the 1990s with NBC. But nonetheless, money talks, and everything else simply at the end of the day walks. So you look at this new NBA media rights deal, and from what you're seeing, the numbers that ESPN, Amazon, and NBC have put up are blowing this thing out of the water. My only problem with that is this potentially could make the quality of the NBA's product worse. And the reason why I say it is this: of course, more TV money means bigger contracts for the players. Okay. And the problem is these guys, no offense, but they get the guaranteed money. And it's kind of like they keep it in third gear at best until the postseason rolls around. You never know where they're going to show up and play. Nobody's really playing D that hard throughout the regular season. And now we've already seen a situation where Adam Silver has had to put in a scenario where, hey, you got to play at least 65 games in order to qualify for these postseason awards. So when you've got to do that, you've got to have initiatives like a play-in tournament or an in-season tournament to kind of make guys play harder, but then guys turn around and still want max money. That right there is a problem. And I think what could potentially happen, these guys are going to get more money, and at the end of the day, they're not going to work as hard. Okay. And it's just unfortunate, but it's just the way that it is. So, I mean, if you're TNT, you've got a good thing going. Okay. And you still want to be a player on the NBA block. It's one of those where you can't really shelf this if you're TNT and come back and try to revisit it, at a different time because it's never going to be the same. All right. If you lose it, you just think back or look at CBS's NFL coverage. Yes, CBS got the NFL package back in 1998 after losing it in 1993. Of course, their initial package was for the NFC coverage. Of course, before that, the NFL coverage pre merger. But nonetheless, it's never been the same. Okay. You think, and this is something that NBC could be staring in the face at right now with their NFL, I mean, with their NBA package. I mean, they've got Sunday Night Football, but again, that's something NBC wise that has never been the same since they lost their package after the '97 season. NBC, like Amazon, can bring a streaming aspect to the NBA coverage with Peacock, of course, but nonetheless, it still has not been the same. And that's the thing. I mean, you can't replicate what guys like Shaq, Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, and Ernie Johnson, excuse me, uh, bring to the table. It's something, they have great chemistry together. Some of the younger guys are going to say, well, they're just older guys, whatever. But at the end of the day, they're good at what they do. They feed off of one another. And it's one of those things you simply don't want to upset the apple cart, so to speak. But at the end of the day, it looks like ESPN, NBC, and Amazon are going to be solidified. All right. Can TNT pull something out to be a fourth partner? We've got to wait and see. But nonetheless, it's the nature of the beast and it's unfortunate. But at the end of the day, it's a business and it's all about the money. Who can who's going to pony up the most money to make these professional sports leagues the happiest? Okay? And hopefully for TNT's sake, they can find a way to still be a part of NBA coverage. If they're not, it'll truly be sad, okay? Because 35 years and counting is a very long time. But nonetheless, it's business first, money talks, and everything else simply walks. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank all of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.